So we're going to work on dimensioning our drawing now that we've got the three views of the shape done. Let's see. Here we go. So we have three views of that. Top, front, and right. Top, front, and right of this shape. Now we have to get these numbers in here. We got to describe to somebody who's looking at this how big each of these are. So remember keeping in mind also that one block is 1 inch. Now we don't always have the blocks when we're doing drawings, so we're going to try not to rely on that too much. I'm going to try to rely on just the information that's given here. Keeping in mind that I made a mistake here, that I didn't put in that 2 inches, so let's see if that comes back to haunt us. Okay, so we'll start. It's good to start with your overall dimensions. For example, how long is this thing across the front? How wide is it? We look at it that way. That's 12 inches. So we're going to put that 12 inches in between the two views. Remember, we don't put them outside of the views if we can avoid it, and usually we can avoid it. So I'll put the 12 inches here. So I draw an extension line. Let's see, a nice light extension line. Remember, we're going to erase our lines from earlier. So let's get rid of this one a little better. Some of these. And we're going to put the 12 inches, write it down, roughly right between, in the middle between those extension lines, and we're going to put an arrow this way, and we're going to put an arrow that way. And we've dimensioned the overall length of this thing, or width, however you want to look at it. And that 12 inches would be clear to someone reading it that it's also here, because of the way we made our drawing. Well, let's continue to work on that. So we wouldn't want to mention, we wouldn't want to dimension this as 3 inches if we could avoid it, because it doesn't show the shape well enough. We'd like to dimension it here where you can see what that is. It's a top step, so to speak. So we'll put 3 inches here. So 2 extension lines that go almost to the shape, and then the dimension and 2 dimension lines in there. It's a little sloppy, but we'll go with it for now. Then, let's see. What else could we use? Well, what if we dimension this? What if I go here? That's going to be 4 inches across. And I know that because if this is 7 and that's 3, then this must be 4. So I'll put that in there. 4 inches. Now on my drawing, I don't need to dimension this from here to here, because I have the overall and I have 2 of the 3 pieces that make it up. It's a chain of measurements. I have 1 piece, another one, and then this one. I don't need to put the measurements for all 3, the dimensions for all 3. I only need 2 of them, because if I have the overall, then it's expected that the person making it would need this one, or could at least quickly figure it out. About the only time you'll do calculations. See, 12 minus 7 is 5. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure enough, that's 5. Alright, so I'm pretty confident with that. Let's try between these two. What dimensions can I put here? Well, I'm going to need the overall height. So let's put that over here. Draw a couple of extension lines. And the overall height, if I look at my thing, is 6 inches. And while we're at it, let's see, we could do, now this would need an extension line all the way down to here, so that would be a little longer. I could do these 2 pieces, here and here. I could say this one is 3 inches. This one, I'd have to draw this line, this extension line, all the way over to there. But this is 2 inches. I could do the arrows like that, an arrow like that. That might indicate to somebody what it is. Another way of doing that, if you really can't fit both arrows and the dimension itself in there, is to draw a double-headed arrow like that and write 2 inches there. That works for me. Do I need to indicate this dimension? Do I need to write down somewhere that that's an inch? Well, I don't, because I have the overall as 6, and I know these two pieces in the chain. I don't need this last one. Which is good, because if I tried to put it here, my extension lines would cross, and that would be bad form. That would be one of the violations. Well, what about this? So I know this entire width is 3 inches. That's the thickness of our thing. Notice that also tells us the total thickness. I don't need to write that here as well, for example. I don't need to give that total thickness here, because if you remember, we went over and down. This is the same as here to here, right? The total thickness. So I don't need to write it here if I've written it here. But I do need to indicate this little gap, or one of these two. In fact, I'm going to do this right here. This piece here is 2 inches. And I don't need to describe this as 1 because I already have the 2 and the entire thing is 3. And I wouldn't want to try to say, for example, dimension that 1 down here, because that's outside. All right, you can see it. That would be outside of the drawing. So I'm not going to do that either. I don't need to. I'm good. Now, let's see. I've got, this is the 2-inch measurement that I actually forgot to give on here. It was clear from the blocks, but I think I have everything dimensioned correctly. Now, if you were to do this on your own, you very well could have a different way of doing it. It very much could look very different, but be perfectly fine. I could have put the 12 inches, say, here, and done things differently, but this is one way to do it. All right. And I think that's it.